All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome into this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Farzine Vasugian here with you to recap the Chiefs' preseason loss to the Bears, 34-21. Chiefs go 0-3 in the preseason, and I'm sure there are going to be some people panicking over this one here. All right, I see you guys are starting to come in now. This is gonna. I don't know how long this podcast is gonna be. This is gonna be a fairly short podcast because I do anticipate doing another podcast tomorrow where we actually spend a lot more time on the 53-man roster. Listen, this is just the third preseason game, the preseason finale. And keep in mind, the Bears won all of their preseason games. The Chiefs lost all of their preseason games. Do you really think that it's going to pan out that way when the games start for real in a few weeks in September and so on? No. Now, listen, I think the Bears have a chance. We'll see. But ultimately, I mean, the scores don't matter. What happened certainly does matter. And I think there are certain players that made an impression today and in other preseason games. Obviously, there are a couple practices left before the 53-man roster needs to be formed. And look, as far as the offense goes, I think there were some interesting players for sure that stepped up for the Chiefs in this game. You look at guys like Carson Steele, obviously had a phenomenal preseason, probably the preseason favorite all year long. Definitely did enough to earn a spot on the 53-man roster. Then there are guys like Cornell Powell who got into the end zone twice in this preseason here. By the way, Carson Steele also had 2 touchdowns. So those 2 guys each scored twice in the preseason this year. So those are certainly guys that might be looked at here and might have a chance at getting a spot on the 53-man roster. So we'll see what the Chiefs end up doing on that front there. A lot of interesting names here. Some guys I think might be a concern for sure. You look at somebody like Luis Rees-Zammit, who didn't really do a whole lot, but okay, is he transitioning? Could more practice help make him better? It just seemed like every time he stepped on the field, and I know some of you guys are not watching the Chiefs broadcast that they have for the preseason games. But for those of you who did, you will notice the Chiefs, every single preseason game, as soon as Rees-Zammit entered the field, they quickly got a close-up of him with one of the cameras, basically followed his every move this preseason. So I'm not really sure. Boy, a lot of love for Carson Steele in the chat here. I love it. I don't know what's going to happen for a guy like Luis Rees-Zammit. Because if they cut him, he has to go through the waiver wire. I know Kansas City would love to have him on the practice squad, but in order to make the practice squad, you have to go through the waiver wire. I would imagine there's at least one team willing to bring him in just for the sake of jersey sales. I mean, that's the thing in the NFL. They do that stuff. He was not very good. I mean, statistically, okay, he had a couple of good things. I was more impressed with Rees-Zammit on special teams defense than I was on offense. Again, do the Chiefs feel like he's worth it to keep around and maybe work with him and see how things go as he continues his transition? I don't know. That's something we're going to find out in 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. Tuesday, I believe, is when the cut day is. Let me just double check on that real quickly. It's the 27th. Yeah, that is going to be Tuesday. So Tuesday, 3:00 Central Time, we will have our answer. We will know who is on the 53-man roster. We'll start getting some word as the days go on, who's going to get cut and whatnot. So we will see. Hey, if you guys want to call in, I see a lot of you guys commenting, and I'll get to your guys' comments as the podcast goes on. Let me know your thoughts on this preseason, not just this game, but the preseason as a whole here. Practice, certainly holds some weight as well. And there are some of these guys who certainly have shined in practice, maybe didn't do as well in in the preseason games and vice versa. So we can definitely touch on that. Before we move on, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Football season is coming up exactly 14 days away. We got the Chiefs Ravens AFC Championship rematch to open up the 2024 NFL season. It's going to be banner night in Kansas City. So get your tickets. You can get them through SeatGeek. And if you're a new customer, you can use my promo code FARZINE and you will save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and at checkout, new customers can use my promo code FARZINE and save $20 off their first purchase from SeatGeek. SeatGeek.com, new customers, put in the promo code FARZINE at checkout. All right. Let's see here. I want to go to Cornell Powell for a moment because I think he made things very interesting. Because when I look at the Chiefs receiving core right now, okay, Worthy, Brown, Rice, obvious receivers there. Watson, I think a lot of people were certain of. As for the rest, Sky Moore, I mean, what do we really think is going to happen with him? Some people think he's going to stick around because he's on a rookie deal. McCole Hardman, been around for a long time. I want to say McCole Hardman is the longest tenured player on offense, not named Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I'm just looking through I'm skimming through the depth chart. Yeah, I think McCole Hardman is the third longest tenured Chief. I mean, sure, he went to the Jets for a little bit, but came back. But he's played a lot of games as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, more than anyone not named Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So, is he a guy who's going to continue his career in Kansas City? Nico Remigio had a pretty impressive preseason. This is a guy that the coaches have been praising all offseason long, and we know why. He had a couple of hiccups in the first game against Jacksonville this preseason, but again, this is a guy who's sticking around, was with the team last year, stayed through all the way in the offseason, and here he is now. You have Justin Ross, who, we're all this hype about Justin Ross, and we're wondering if he's ever going to live up to the hype, live up to the expectations. Montreal Washington, a speedster, returned the ball and was also there on that big catch near the end of the game there. Played a little bit on the regular season roster, was part of the regular season roster last year until McCole Hardman came back. So where does that leave a guy like Cornell Powell? Where does that leave a guy like Kadarius Toney? And I'll say this, and I know there were all a bunch of backups on the field, so I'm not putting too much weight in all of this. But I will say this, because I was very, very critical of Kadarius Toney the last 5 days. I thought Kadarius Toney looked good today. Had a couple of good catches in this game, and the route that he ran, where the ball just tipped by the defender, and if that ball just sneaks in, it's in Toney's hands. The defender that was trying to dive for the tip ball, he's gonna be in front of his own teammate, and there's no way anyone's going to catch Toney in that one. I mean, you could have an offensive lineman on a trick play right there, and he would still run it in because there was no one else close enough to stop that from being a touchdown. I think that's more on Oladokin, who waited just a bit too long to get the ball to Toney. If Toney can play like that, and again, I realize there were a bunch of backups who are not going to make a lot 53-man rosters, the majority of them. I like that Toney. Yeah, I would love that version of Kadarius Toney for a long time. But is that enough to make the 53-man roster? Well, the wide receiver position is the one that's been talked about the most this preseason. Look, last year it was 7 wide receivers. Let's just assume it's 7 again. I think it will be 7. Who are the 7 guys? Worthy, Brown, Rice. I'll go Justin Watson. I'll go McCole Hardman. Sky Moore. I'm at 6. Already at 6. So it's either going to be Justin Ross, Kadarius Toney, Nico Remigio, or Cornell Powell. I don't think Montreal Washington's making the team. Maybe the practice squad. I don't think Kyle Sheets sticking around. I don't think Phillip Brooks is sticking around. I don't know. Maybe we get a little bit of a surprise here, and maybe Sky Moore gets cut. I don't know. Because I was pretty adamant that Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney are not making this team, but they were part of the starting unit for today's game, which again, I don't know what that means ultimately for the sake of trying to make the 53-man roster. That I don't know right now. None of us do. Because this is the thing. I know a lot of people will say, well, Kansas City's receivers were bad last year and they won the Super Bowl. Yes, but I'm not banking on the Chiefs winning a Super Bowl like that 2 years in a row. No way. Your offense has to produce, has to play much better. You got to find the right 7 guys. And I'm not saying all 7 guys are going to be all pro, 1,000 yard. No, that's just not realistic. You do have 3 speedsters in Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown right now is hurt, so we don't know exactly how much time is left. I did see a report earlier today indicating that there's a very good chance Hollywood Brown is going to miss the Baltimore Ravens game, and I've been saying that for quite some time. Not official, but we are not expecting to see him in week 1. Still TBD on week 2 and 3. I know a lot of people are also bringing up Rashee Rice. Could he be suspended this year? The way the NFL was pretty adamant about waiting on a suspension, on handing out a suspension to Rashee Rice, because there's a court date that's going to be, and I don't recall exactly, November or December. That's not even the sentencing or the trial. Like we're not even there yet. So this is not going to get wrapped up during this season. So that's going to be a while. So I'm saying, again, can't never say never, but I'm pretty certain Rashee Rice is playing the season. As long as he doesn't get hurt or injured, he is going to play every game this year that he's available for. So ultimately, when you look at this Chiefs team right now, the wide receiver position is by far the most important one. They have to get it right. They have to get the right 7 guys. And I'm assuming they're going to have 2 on the practice squad. I would imagine Nico Remigio is going to be a practice squad guy. If Justin Ross is on the practice squad, he's getting picked up by somebody. 100% won't get picked up by another team. I'm just looking at the Chiefs right now because I think your offensive line is going to be good this year. I do. I really like Kingsley Suamataia. He's looked really good in training camp. He's looked good in the preseason, albeit it is just a preseason, and he didn't get challenged a whole lot this preseason. Definitely going to be a bit of a different story in the September 5th Baltimore game. But I still think he's going to be good and is going to have a good rookie campaign this year. Juwan Taylor definitely got to be better. Had some good games as a pass blocker. Obviously, he's got to figure out, the rules or whatever the officials are going to limit him to, because you can't afford to keep doing that. You just can't, fair or not. I like the direction of this, where this offense is going. Yeah, Hollywood Brown not going to be available. That's unfortunate, but I still think the Chiefs have what it takes to win the first game, possibly the second, without Hollywood Brown. I hope Hollywood's available for the second game, because assuming the Bengals have all of their players available, obviously they have one glaring holdout right now. That's a team that definitely is beatable, especially with the defense they have, for sure. But you want to make sure you have all of your players available for that one. I think ultimately at the end of the day, when you're looking at the 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 receivers on this Chiefs team right now, 13 of them, okay? You're going to keep 7 on the main roster and a couple on the practice squad. It's kind of hard to figure out who 4 through 7 is going to be. I feel like Watson and Hardman are locks. I really do. Sky Moore, I don't know, man. It feels like the Chiefs like him. So I think he's also in on the lock. So 6. So again, the 7th spot is either going to be Ross, Toney, Remigio, or Powell. And I think, or Washington. I don't think Washington's really got much much of a resume here, but Remigio, I think, is going to be a practice squad guy. So I think it's going to be between Ross and Tony. Powell, I think, is going to, I don't think he's going to get claimed. Maybe a slim chance of that happening. So those are my receivers for the Chiefs this upcoming season here. Okay, as far as the offense goes, and by the way, we'll get to Creed Humphrey because that is very important. That news did break right before kickoff. On the defensive side, it was pretty discouraging today. Now, again, all backups here. And I don't know who that running back was for the Chicago Bears. Ran what was it, 32, 33 yards. He started going to his left, and then it went across the field untouched the entire time. I saw Nick Lowry, Chiefs Hall of Famer, bring that up, and he wasn't too thrilled with how the Chiefs looked on that defensive effort there. First couple of drives defensively, I mean, third down penalties and just ugly in general. Not very good. Now, let me say something that I said at the beginning of this, not this podcast, but the pregame live chat. You know what this Chiefs team has in common in the preseason? That is just the preseason. You know what this Chiefs preseason team has in common with last year's preseason team? Chris Jones didn't play for very different reasons, obviously. But I don't know how much does that hold weight, because the defense did not look good this preseason. You want to know when the defense looked atrocious last year in the preseason? When Derek freaking Carr carved up the Chiefs defense. Remember that? And the Chiefs offense could get nothing going. Well, how did the season go for Derek Carr and the Saints? Not good. How did the season go for the Chiefs defense? Very good. So again, I just don't know how much weight you can really put on these preseason, how much stock you can really put on these kinds of things. And by the way, I see Bron in your comment, backups on the Bears teams too. Yeah, I get that, but let me step back a bit. Do you remember the season when the Detroit Lions went 0-16? I think they were the first 0-16 team in NFL history. What was their preseason record? Do you guys know? Without looking it up, I'll tell you what it is, or what it was. They were 4-0 in the preseason and 0-16 in the regular season. If that is not an example to, not panic, because again, yeah, the Chiefs had their backups, but then there are other people who will say, well, so did the other team. Okay. And I'm not trying to be a smart ass here. Okay. Listen, I do a podcast on this team. I was zoning out. I get like college students who are like, hey, I want to get in media. What do I got to do? What's it like? Do you really think the people who are sitting in that Chiefs media press box today, you think they had such a thrilling time? I'll tell you this. I was 17 years old the first time I was credentialed. I'll tell you, as a 17-year-old, yeah, it's pretty cool to be there. But a lot of those guys, they've been doing that for years. They were bored out of their goddamn minds. Okay. That was boring as hell. I would hate to be a member of the media trying to come up with an angle for this game. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is let's not freak out over the preseason, the record, all that stuff. It doesn't, the scores don't matter, but some of the action we saw certainly does. The Bears won all 4 of their preseason games. Do you guys think that's going to carry over? And by the way, it is 4 because they played the Hall of Fame game. Do you think that's carrying over to the regular season? I mean, Nick Wright thinks so. And listen, we all love Nick here in Kansas City, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Ultimately, though, you want to make sure you have the right guys. Oh, the quarterback position. Ember said Ian Book was far better than Oladokin tonight. That TD was spicy fast. Yeah. So last week, Ian Book looked awful. I mean, I just couldn't even watch Ian Book. If Ian Book was a book, I mean, I would have closed that book immediately. Okay, that was a terrible pun. Anyway, I was trying too hard, but you know what I mean. Chris Oladokun, he looked decent last week. Today, Chris Oladokun looked like Ian Book, and Ian Book looked like Chris Oladokun. That's how I felt about the quarterbacks that played in today's game. So I don't know what's going to... I was pretty sure that Oladokun was going to be the practice squad QB and that Ian Book was going to get cut. I think Ian Book kind of made things interesting for the quarterback position. So we'll have to wait and see what the Chiefs want to do with that. Again, Tuesday is when the roster cut is gonna that's the deadline, and that's gonna be at 3 p.m. Central Time here. Let me just put the let me see if I still call into the show. There it is. There's a link if you guys want to call into the podcast. Any thoughts you guys have? I don't have a whole lot of thoughts left. I'll read some of you guys' comments before I get out of here. I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow, 6 o'clock Central Time, and I will be I'll go over my 53-man roster. I will give you who I think will make it. I kind of went over the wide receivers. I just struggle with Sky Moore. I think the team likes him enough that they're going to keep him. If it was up to me, which, thank goodness it's not up to me, because what do I know? I don't know if I would keep him. So those are my thoughts there. Now I want to hear from you guys. If you guys want to call in, the link is right there. Otherwise, I'll read your comments here. Bob says Tony makes the team. Sky Moore, Hardman, Steele makes the team. Yes, I would say Sky Moore has a better chance than Tony and Hardman. Again, I've been very critical of Hardman and that his progress in the NFL has been very, very slow. Gwen says I'm not really keen on QB3 or 4. Listen, that's why they're QB3 and QB4. That's why they are where they are. Allison, this is a really good question. I kind of forgot about this. Any update with John Gruden? I feel like, let me do a quick Google search on John Gruden, because I feel like it was a huge deal for the however many days he was there, and then it just kind of went away. Yeah, we haven't really seen much of Gruden. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Gruden. I'll have to reach out to someone I know. See if actually, let me quickly text a friend who I have in the media. Is John Gruden still with the team? Let me see if he gets back to me during this live stream, and hopefully I'll have an answer. Charlie says, will it be Pacheco, Hilaire, and Steele as fullback then? Pacheco, yeah, obviously you're number one. I think Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, he didn't play in this game, did he? I don't think he did. If he was held out, that means he made the team. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire is on the 53-man roster. I know it's not a popular thing to hear. Okay, so I'm told on the John Gruden front, I don't believe so, but I haven't really seen one way or the other. Okay, all right. Yeah, he hasn't been spotted in the recent practices, so I think it's safe to say he was just there for a very lengthy visit. A very lengthy visit. Make what you want out of that. Jim says, I really liked Jaden Hicks tonight. Jaden Hicks was awesome this preseason. I'm excited to see him when the games count. Because with Mike Edwards moving on, and Mike Edwards was more of a better cover safety than a hard-hitting safety. Hicks is a really good hard-hitting safety. That guy is definitely going to be used for defensive back blitzes. 100%. Like, if we learned anything about Jaden Hicks this preseason, it's that Spags is going to use him for DB blitzes. That I'm really excited to see in games this year. But I don't think I really finished Charlie's question. Pacheco, Edwards, Hilaire. I don't know who the third running back is going to be. Carson Steele, I think, is going to be the fullback, because the Chiefs are trying to bring that position back. Unless I'm just completely wrong here. I don't know who that third running back is going to be. My guess would be Deneric Prince. I want to say Luis Rizame because I feel like the Chiefs would rather keep him around and not risk having him go through the waiver wire. He didn't play very well, but I think that's something to be aware of here. Jordan says with preseason over now, we got regular season in 2 weeks. Yes, exactly. 14 days away. Kirk believes Ross only saw limited time, thinks he made it. Yeah. When you see someone with limited time, that's a good sign that they made the team. So we'll see what happens in a few days here. All right. Bob is waiting. He's calling in. I believe he was at the game today. Bob, what's going on, sir?
What's up, Fars?
Were you at the game today?
I was at the game today.
Okay.
My son does the playback assistant there on when you throw the red flag.
Oh, nice. Okay, great.
So, anyway, but the pregame warm-ups, if it's any indication, they had Ross, they had Tony, they had Hardman, and Sky Moore, all four of them guys working on catching the ball on punts, for punt returns. And so I think they was trying to explore, if that's any indication on what they're looking at, for them wide receiver spots. So, but I don't know, man. I think Sky Moore's in trouble, man. I don't think that I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Because this is, a second round pick. A lot of people feel like he's gonna stick around because he's on a rookie deal. I don't think the Chiefs are gonna keep someone because of a rookie deal situation. They need to have the right 7 receivers this year, especially after what happened last year.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I mean, they got some talent, man, at that wide receiver, and then you got Tony that had a good night tonight. He caught everything that came his way. He didn't hear footsteps today. And he put the ball away.
The only thing I got to push back, he didn't catch the one that was on that deep pass there. The defender on the last second kind of tipped it, but yeah, I mean right. I don't think he did anything wrong today.
I thought that ball was telecasted, and he didn't get enough on it over the top.
I agree.
Or otherwise, that was 6.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. I think the refs in this preseason game I came away from is they got a lot of practice today.
Yeah, that is for sure.
It seemed like every one of them threw a flag.
Yeah,
so they got the time out of the way.
Trent Green and Ari Wolf, they didn't seem to really agree with the officials a lot with whatever decision they made. So that made it more interesting.
Looked pretty rough. Now, I think that Prince looks pretty good as a backup, but I think Steele's a shoe-in. I think he's keeping him no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. Gwen's asking that question. Yeah, Steele is a lock, 100%.
Absolutely. But no, it was just getting out there amongst some of them enemy fans of the Bears, because they're all hyped, man, about Williams and Keenan's over there now, and I yelled at him and told him I'm glad he's not with the the Chargers anymore. So so it was kind of fun, get your blood boiling out there. Get ready for 2 weeks, man. It's happening.
I'm excited, Bob.
So anyway, wanted to just say hey, and it was good to be out there amongst the team, and all the fans, man. It was an electrifying. When you go to Arrowhead, man, if your body doesn't get a body vibe from the fans, they're not playing nobody. Man, I don't know about you, but when I'm at Arrowhead, there's something about it, man. It makes your whole body shake.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's what Arrowhead does. That's what Arrowhead does to the fan base. 100%. Glad you got to experience that today.
Anyway, good talking to you, man. I'm looking forward to the season and all the good shows that's coming this way.
Appreciate you, Bob, and thanks for your perspective on today's game, being there in attendance and calling in like you do for a lot of these shows. So appreciate it. If you guys want to call in, I commented already, so feel free to chime in. I'll continue reading the comments otherwise here. Jordan says Hollywood is out 4 to 6 weeks, so he'll only miss one game, which is most likely the season opener. Yeah, I think it's going to be one game. And I'm just guessing, just, based off information that we have received. If Brown did not get hurt, we would have balled out against the Ravens. Wish we could have seen that. I mean, the game hasn't happened yet, Enrique. And I still think you have the talent on this team right now. I know when you look at the receivers right now, and we'll see who the 7 receivers are, but ultimately the biggest switch is the only swap really without Hollywood Brown is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's out and Xavier Worthy's in, but that is a big difference right there. I mean, Xavier Worthy is going to take the top off a lot of defenses here, and he's going to attract a lot of attention. He's going to be a decoy for a lot of the players here, and is going to attract all that attention from defensive guys, 100%. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. Holly's asking, does the 0-3 preseason record make you nervous? No, it's just a preseason. Let's be honest. Did any team today, or whenever all these games are going to be finished, did any team this week start their actual quarterback? I don't think anyone did. No way. Again, that doesn't make them irrelevant, the games. But the win-loss record, especially this week of all weeks, no, doesn't really matter. And here's the other thing. You can't put too much weight in that Lions game either, because the Chiefs had their backups in, or I'm sorry, the Lions had their backups in for that one. So it's like, and then for the first one when the Chiefs had their starters against the Jaguar starters, the Chiefs starting offense only played 6 snaps. So this was a preseason where we didn't get too much. The second one was big because of the Xavier Worthy. He actually got involved a little bit more in that one. Rashee Rice was very active. And then, of course, the behind-the-back pass to Travis Kelce. That was a huge deal. But other than that, this was a very, very low-key preseason for the Chiefs. Let's see. I'll read a few more comments and get out of here. Enrique is asking, with the center signing his big contract, what does that mean for Trey Smith? It's a really good question. I'm not optimistic about the Chiefs keeping Trey Smith, and I've been saying this for a long time. Ever since this free agency, when we saw the guard market skyrocket, I kept saying, and I'll keep saying it, that's bad news if you're the Chiefs, because you are trying to keep one of the biggest, nastiest, scariest guards in football in Trey Smith. The amount of money he's probably going to be demanding, and again, keep another thing in mind. This guy was a 6th-round pick in 2021. So this is not a guy that's making a lot of money to begin with. So he wants to hit the bank, like Chiefsaholic almost, but not really. Trey Smith he's gonna want a big deal, 100%. I don't think it's gonna be very easy to keep him. Brett Veach is gonna have to do some work with Jawan Taylor's contract. Maybe Mahomes reworks his deal again. Those two things would have to happen in order to keep Trey Smith. Maybe even Joe Thuney as well. Let's see what they do, because the report we got is they're trying to do it before the season starts. Obviously, they got Creed done. It's not official, but it will be. So we'll see what happens with Trey Smith. David says we better not have to count on any second stringers. That's fair. They didn't look really good today. Ramijo is a special teams guy. Gwen says might be. See, that's the thing. Like, he looked good on special teams and on offense too. But I think I don't know. I keep going back and forth on the receivers and who's going to make it. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Yes, but Chiefs have been known to hold out longer depending on practice time during the week. They won't take chances with few exceptions during the playoffs, Kirk says. Ben is concerned about the preseason record. I like Jaden Hicks teaming up with McDuffie. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, with these two young guys here, I'm kind of wondering if, and maybe I'm speaking too early, if that Jaden Hicks, Trent McDuffie duo would be like kind of like Eric Berry and Brandon Flowers. Remember that? That was even when Flowers left, you had Eric Berry and Marcus Peters. I mean, you could not have asked for a better ball hawking cornerback safety duo. And I know Peters, his after he left Kansas City, his career pretty much went downhill. But his time in Kansas City, he was really good. Just seemed like the guy always had a knack for being at the right place at the right time and getting a pick. So I'm excited to see what the Jaden Hicks, Trent McDuffie duo will look like. That kind of quarterback safety duo in the future. Yeah, I mean, the wide receivers certainly are expected to be much better. I hope Rice has been working on, obviously off the field issues, but he had a lot of fumbles last year. Rashee Rice, that is. What's one that doesn't get talked about with Rashee Rice is the Buffalo Bills regular season game. I know everyone thinks about the Kadarius Toney offsides call. Excuse me. But he had an offsides call. A fumble in that game when the Chiefs were kind of getting into a rhythm. I can't remember if it was the third or fourth quarter, sometime in the second half. So if Rashee Rice can nullify those fumbles, he's going to be a more and more complete wide receiver this year. And I'm excited to see that. Yeah, Andy Reid saying Wanya Moore is expected to be okay. Jalen Watson, he can't catch a break either, man. The injuries. But that's why you have 91 guys on the team right now. Gonna read a few more comments here. Brian saying excited for the football season and Royals are still in the hunt for October. Well, yeah, September and October are going to be a couple interesting months in Kansas City for the sports team. So that'll be good. Kind of forgot about that. Royals have been playing much better baseball lately too. Feels like I know they kind of when was it in May? They had a weird slump. But then it seems like they kind of figured it out, and they're in a really good spot with the wild card. So hopefully they don't blow it. Yeah, did Sky Moore have a single target this preseason? I don't think he did. I don't think Sky Moore was targeted once this preseason. I might actually look that up just to be sure. He wasn't targeted in this game. Geez, did he even play in any of these games? He was on the field. I saw him, but the Jacksonville game, he was never targeted in the Jacksonville game, and in the Detroit game, he was never targeted in that one. Unless I just missed it. Sky Moore was never once targeted this preseason. So I'm impressed. It's actually impressive in a weird way. If they use Steele wisely, he will be ridiculous. He is becoming a fan favorite already. Yeah, and again, that 1-2 punch is going to be interesting with him and Pacheco. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like because the running back room is pretty wide open behind Pacheco, in my opinion. But it appears the Chiefs do like CEH, and they're gonna keep him around. Yeah, there was that fullback who the Chiefs had, Bannon, Mike Bannon, I think, after Anthony Sherman. But then he went on to Denver. Would call him, but yeah, work at 4 a.m. Get to bed, Enrique. Will we miss McKinnon or will Steele take that over? McKinnon was a really good pass catching running back. That's what I'm going to miss about him. Again, I get his age and all. He's in his 30s, but it's not like the guy has been overworked or overused in his NFL career. So I'm kind of surprised at the lack of, I guess, interest in him. I don't know. It's kind of surprising to me. Yeah, Matt Ariza, he's looking good. I know we never spend time talking about punters, but dude, his punts, that's going to help the Chiefs defense a lot this year. It is going to be really, really good for him. I'm excited to see what happens. If Steele is in the same time as Pacheco, He's going over 1,000 yards this season. Yeah, I'm excited to see like the toughness from Carson Steele, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point, Jordan. Yeah, Kirk is saying the same thing as a lead blocker. That's going to be good. Marquez Valdes-Scantling got hurt in Buffalo. Oh man, that's unfortunate. I heard he was not having a very good preseason in Buffalo, or not even a good training camp with the Bills. It's been a rough year for former Chiefs receivers too. Valdes-Scantling just not doing well. Juju got cut after the first game. It's been rough. It's been rough. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm Farzy Vasugan. Appreciate you all downloading and listening to this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. For all of you who listen live, watch and listen live on Facebook and YouTube, appreciate all of you guys as well. Hey, tomorrow evening, we will do a podcast. I will give you my 53-man roster. Who do I think made the Chiefs man roster? I'll go over that. We will bring that to you tomorrow evening, so be on the lookout for that. Might be 6 o'clock, might be a little earlier. Not exactly sure. We'll go over that. The Creed Humphrey thing, we went over this already, but I'm excited to see what he's going to do. The Chiefs did not keep they did not keep, who was it? Mitch Morse from Mizzou. They drafted, and they didn't keep Rodney Hudson, who they also drafted. So, people were kind of skeptical, feeling like, historically speaking, the Chiefs don't pay centers. Obviously, this is different, and they felt very strong about Creed Humphrey, and he's going to be here for even longer. I'm excited to see that. I think it's a move that had to happen. So I'm glad he's sticking around. He's going to be here for a long time. All right, guys. Once again, appreciate you all downloading and listening. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You see it below on the screen there, youtube.com/@thechiefszone. Subscribe, share the links with your friends. Let them know about the podcast. Otherwise, I will talk to you all tomorrow evening. I'll give you my 53-man roster prediction. Peace out.